Sometimes I wonder if I'm the only person who thinks that the world is going insane. What I mean by that is you hear almost every day, it seems, some new philosophy, some new theology, some new, this is the way that life is supposed to be. And you listen to it and you think, how in the world could people get to that position? I mean, it's not even logical. There's no common sense in that. Everything that you could possibly imagine, from religion, if you want to look that way, all the way to gender and the way that things should occur in male and female relationships. For example, several years ago, feminism began to be a strong thing in the world, and basically, with some feminists at least, every male was considered to be a toxic masculinity kind of person, which means that we were all bad. And that was ridiculous. Not all men are bad. There are many, many, many men who are good men. But toxic masculinity became a topic. And it became, okay, let's talk about how bad men are when they want to control, when they want to do this, when they want to do that. Well, as is true of culture, it seems it's happened many times in my lifetime and many times throughout the history of the world, there's a pendulum effect. What I mean by that is that once we swing to such an extreme that all men are toxic and don't dare be a man, well, the pendulum has swung back the other way now, to where there are people out there who are actually touting what amounts to toxic masculinity in reality, not just in some feminist mind, but that men should treat women as if they are inferior. And there's some heroes of that are out there. And interestingly, well, let's introduce my co-host. This is Dr. Kimberly Holmes, and
Hello.
she and I are doing the program as we normally do. But Kimberly has been looking more into this than I am. And you just found a report that said that a tremendous number of young men are listening to someone who advocates this new women are inferior, men are superior philosophy.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of different people that are talking about this in this space, and it's so broad when we talk about the overarching term of toxic masculinity. There are red pill communities, there's this whole manosphere document that just came out on Netflix. There's so many different places, and there's a lot of different types of content and topics that people talk about. And so it's not that we're trying to address every single piece of this, but there's an underlying foundation that is a thread between a lot of these communities, a lot of these influencers, that is absolutely destructive. Many of you know Andrew Tate. He has been convicted of sex trafficking, I believe, or at least charged for sex trafficking. But
in the UK. Mm-hmm.
In the UK. But he's been around for several years talking about how women are the problem, how men just need to be more manly, that a woman shouldn't have the right to vote, that women really, all women, are just sex workers. And either we have one client who's our husband, or we have many clients who are the people that we're dating and we're trying to get free stuff from, or we're ugly and we have to get a real job. The problem is, this is what teenage boys are currently listening to. This is what young men are currently listening to. He has tens of millions of followers, and he's not the only one. From the Manosphere document, we see that there's people like Justin Waller who are saying things like, really, it's all about one-sided monogamy, how his woman only ever speaks to him, but he's allowed to sleep with however many women he wants to. That is a foundational principle that's true in almost all of the toxic masculinity communities, especially red pill. It's this idea of men get to do what we want because we are the breadwinners. We are the ones that women should submit to. Therefore, we get to do what we want, but they need to do what we say. And they all get it wrong. They all get it wrong because they are viewing it all about sex. I mean, it really is for them. At least on the surface, what they talk about is it's sex and using sex as control. All that anyone wants is sex. Therefore, women want it just from one man as long as she can feel loved and provided for. But men are never going to be able to be monogamous. We were never able to be monogamous. Therefore, we need multiple women. And it's all missing the point.
You know, maybe next program we can find something that you'll get excited about.
Let's try. Let's try.
You're pretty fired up about this.
Because it is so destructive to current relationships and to the future of marriage. We already know that marriage is hurting. Marriage is an institution. For years, we've been seeing a decrease in the amount of people getting married, and we've been simultaneously seeing a decrease a little bit in divorce rates, but it's because there's more cohabitation. There's less marriage actually happening. Therefore, we already know that the institution of marriage, which is a fundamental building block of society, but even more than that, what I believe is that it is the way that it's God's intention for how he wished the world to grow. We know, and then we also know from research that it is what creates the most stable family life and what is best for culture as a whole. We already know that that is declining. And it's narratives like this, like people like Andrew Tate, Justin Waller, whoever else, it's going to continue to push women away. People wonder why. People are saying, now, on the alternative side of this, there's an ad, a marriage helper ad, I was looking at the comments on earlier today, and people are saying that the reason that marriages are ending right now is because of feminism. Because women are listening to other liberal women talk about how you just need to be happy, do your own thing, all of that, which is also a problem. It's not just toxic masculinity. There's also this other side of it that's a problem. But the bigger problem is we are viewing it as a male-female fight. It's not a male-female fight. We are viewing the wrong problem. Women want to be heard, loved, and respected. Guess what? So do men. Men also want to feel heard, loved, and respected. It's not just that men only need respect and women only need love, which is a very weaponizing, that's a way that we've weaponized scripture in the Christian circle in the past. Well, you just need to respect your husbands and husbands just love your wives. No, scripture does say that, but it doesn't say that's the only thing that we need to do. So we have to think about how can we actually lean in to the principles of what makes a strong marriage, and that's never going to happen when we see the other gender as the problem.
And so not only is this a problem with marriages right now, both from the feminist side and this toxic masculinity side, which actually does exist now, but with so many young men listening to this and thinking, boy, he's got some good points there. As you said, the future of marriage is in trouble. Therefore, if you have teenage boys, well, maybe even teenage girls, but if you have teenage boys, you need to be discussing this with them because they're being fed this stuff. And understand that if you can find somebody who is charming enough in his or her delivery, somebody who can make a point here or there that seems to make a lot of sense. You see, the best way to propagate any lie is to put a little bit of truth into it. So the people can say, well, that makes sense. I can see that. There's truth in that. And so this guy, this Andrew Tate guy, among the others there, and by the way, he moved to Romania. I understand, this is my understanding, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, that he moved to Romania because of the sex trafficking charges in the UK. He's trying to avoid those. So here is this guy that'll be charming enough, at least to the eyes and ears of the younger men, and maybe older men as well, who will be putting a little bit of truth in here and here and here, where men are going, well, that makes sense. I can see that. But that makes the lie that much more believable. And the lie is, as you just said, we're enemies. The feminists are saying the men are the enemies, and these toxic guys are saying the women are the enemies, and each is saying that the other needs to kowtow, needs to bow, needs to do what I want, which is actually, Kimberly, if you think about it, that's actually started back in the 1960s, way before you were born, where it's become a whole world of, I want to do what makes me happy. Me happy. And when you can find people saying, you deserve to be happy, and let's say it's a feminist saying, has he ever done this? Has he ever done that? And again, you understand, they'll get some truth in there, like, yeah, he did that. Then the lie becomes much more believable. Now they have the toxic guys over here saying, if she's ever done that, if you've ever felt this, and that becomes believable. And so now you have these two people. And that's one of the reasons why, as a matter of fact, it's actually becoming a major reason why people are delaying marriage, and that many single women are now saying they never want to get married. It's because of the fact that I don't want to live in that.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to marry Andrew Tate either. Another thing is
or anybody following his philosophy.
Or anyone following his philosophy. But it's not just the other thing they are selling. It's not just that they are charming. I don't think they're charming at all.
At least they are to the people who are listening to them.
Because they drive super expensive cars. They've made a ton of money, and they are selling this image of success, and they are pairing this image of success with this masculinity. So if you want to be successful and have money, because that's what sells, money sells. So if you want to be successful and have money, then you need to be this way. And this is the kind of woman you need in your life. Or, I don't know. I don't see any women in sports cars that are talking this way about men. So therefore, but then the other thing is that they are boiling down the relationship to sex. And it's not about sex.
Well, but you said there's a contradiction in this, in the sense that the research is indicating that these men who want women who will obey, you'll be my wife, you'll do what I say, I can sleep with other people, whatever. But they're attracted to highly successful women. Don't you see that as being a contradiction?
So there's the people who say this stuff, like Andrew Tate, who we now know how he got his money.
Pardon me for laughing, but seeing her this upset is fascinating to me. Go ahead.
There are these people who sell the image because the image makes them money. Then there's the people who believe it. The people selling the image probably aren't fully living in line. I don't know. They're saying things that get them views and that get them money and that get people to pay for them. And then they do other shady things that bring them money, and it perpetuates this image. Then there are the people who want so desperately to be like them that I believe these are the people saying, well, I want the successful, this is it. I want the successful woman, but I don't want to actually have to go and do. It is a narrative that is perpetuating men being lazy. And I say that with all the love in my heart because I don't.
That doesn't sound like love.
I do. I do say it with all the love in my heart because here's why. They're being fed a lie that this is easy. That all you have to do is find a woman who's going to obey you, and now you're going to have money.
And she's going to bring in the money.
Yes. And so what men actually need to be hearing and learning is how to be a man who's going to be a present father. Because guess what? All of these men telling men how to be men have multiple kids with multiple women, and they are not present fathers. When we actually look at the breakdown of society and what's happening, it is the absence of fathers in homes. When we go to places like Kenya and we see women whose husbands have left because they went to go and pursue money, and these women are now living in poverty, wishing that they had an education, wishing that they had the ability to vote, because they're just wanting to help their kids not have to continue to live in the slums of Kibera. I've met these women, the biggest slums in Africa. And we take this mindset that men are teaching here in America, and when you apply that to any other third world country, you see it begins to break down because women actually need these, like, women getting jobs in these countries, and the governments of these countries know that's a step to alleviate these nations from poverty. So it's not about obeying and obedience and submission and money. It's the pursuit of money, I believe, that's causing a lot of these issues. Instead, what are the things that matter? It's not about the money. It's not about the image. But the things that matter are your family, are your kids. It's your marriage. It's things that you could never put a price tag on. But we aren't focusing on that. We're just focusing on how we can build a brand and create an image and make tons of money. Everything else can go to hell. That's what the society is saying. And we have to fight that.
Again, we'll find a topic next week she can be excited about.
Good luck.
As you look at this, it really is a problem. Without a doubt, it's a serious, serious problem because of the fact that the people who buy into this, the men who buy into it on that side of it, are not being good husbands. They're being very selfish men who are not there for their wives and who are not there for their children. And the women on the other side of that, who are on the feminist side, they treat men as if they have no value whatsoever.
That's true.
And this is not going to work because think about the mixed messages the children are getting.
100%. 100%. Yeah.
Okay, like what?
Well, the mixed messages that the children would get in this is, I'm trying to think about it because it's not like this in my home, thankfully. Like, just thank God my home isn't like this. But maybe that's how I should approach it. I think here's what my kids see. I work. My husband doesn't have a traditional job like I have a traditional job. But my kids don't see me berating my husband because of that. They don't see him berating me because of that. We talk about things in the open together. Big decisions, we're always talking about it. But honestly, at the end of the day, even with everything I've said so far, I will, unless I feel very strongly about something, which I will then plead, state my case and give my arguments why. But I do submit to my husband. I do say, you're the head of the house. Ultimately, I want you to make this decision. But that doesn't mean I don't have a voice.
And what that means is that you've just alienated every feminist in the world.
I can fight both sides. So I'm not saying it's all about women having all the power either, because that's also not healthy. Because then you continue this narrative of single, I've said it before, single women keeping other women single. And this narrative that we don't need each other, that we can be independent. But we aren't created that way. We were created for each, a man and a woman, to be able to feed off of each other's strengths. And when we just look at Genesis, like in the Bible, when God created man, he created man first, but then he created woman. And the word he uses about how he created women is his helpmate. When we look at the original meaning of that word, it's a strength according to his own, like a strength to be able to be strong in places that he is weak. We are meant to complement each other. So continuing to fight against each other isn't the answer. We have to lean in, love, and complement and work better together, not just continue to see the other gender as an enemy.
And so in a home, the child might be getting a very strong feminist message where that men are inferior, they're no good, don't trust them, or they might be getting a message of women should be subservient. In our workshops, by the way, we teach couples how they can reach decisions together so that one is not dominating the other. As a matter of fact, we say quite often, one thing that's true of every dictator is somebody wants him dead. Mm-hmm. But think about that in a childhood. So the guy, a boy growing up in a home with a strong feminist influence, is being taught that men are no good, you shouldn't be a man. Is it any wonder that some of them then want to become women and to think they want to change over and be a woman because they've been taught that men are so bad? On the other hand, if it's a thing where the woman is treated as if she has only value as being a sex slave, you cook the food, you clean the house, you fulfill me sexually, and if you can get out there and make some money, that's great, but I'm the ruler, I'm the king of the house here, I'm on the throne. And if they grow up in that, then the women grow up thinking, or the girls grow up thinking, I have no value, I'm no good, I can't do things. Yeah. And so back in my generation, back in the 1950s, if I had gotten on an airplane, which I wouldn't have because I'd have been like 2 years old, but back in the 1950s, if I were getting on an airplane and a woman pilot, I probably would have gotten back off the plane because we were taught that women couldn't do things like that. So it really was a good change that women vote, that women have extremely responsible positions, that women can fly airplanes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That was good. But then it kept going to the point where it's like, but we're going to be better than men. We're partners.
Right.
We're supposed to be in this thing together.
Yeah, exactly. And I believe ultimately that's where we get to. Women will trust men more when they know that that man loves them, cares about them, and is looking out for the well-being not just of the woman, but of the family and the relationship as a whole. That is how it works. And same with men. Men will trust women when they know that that woman is going to be there for them, stand beside them, support them, care for them. And so that's the actual answer. The actual answer is leaning into each other, seeking to understand, seeking to love deeper, seeking to respect each other, working through things together so that you become stronger together on the other side, not just trying to keep people in their own buckets and in their own boxes. It has to be working better together.
Well, it's probably time to go to either Michael or Nathan, but just before we do, let me say this. A kid that's grown up, whether it's a male or a female child, in a home with extremism, either side, strongly feminist or strongly toxic when it comes to masculinity, these are kids that are taught to be extremist. And that's what the world is full of today. People who are extremist. No, not listening to the other side, not trying to find balance, not trying to find compromise, but we're right, you're wrong. No, we're right, you're wrong. It's all over the world, including our Congress. It's everywhere right now. If you want it, it's bad. If we want it, then you think it's bad. Because we're growing kids that are extremists based on the parents being extremists. And so it's time we find love, understanding, compassion.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, I interviewed someone on my podcast who was a researcher that had been contracted by the government to figure out what it would take to end terrorism in the Middle East. Not a small project. His name was Dr. David Matsumoto. And I will never forget what he said. He said, Kimberly, after years and hundreds of thousands of dollars of research and looking over all the data, here is what we found. If you want to end terrorism, it has to begin in the home, because it is in the home that a person learns to love or learns to hate. So in your home, please teach your children and each other how to love and not how to hate.
Amen. Amen.
Let's go to Michael.
Michael's Motivational Minute.
All right, friends, we're talking about the manosphere, or as I like to call it, brotopia. Maybe we can get that to catch on, but you know what it is. It's a series of podcasts, of blog posts, of community groups, of social media sites and spaces that are all geared towards men. And why are men suddenly flocking towards or looking to the manosphere for answers? I think it's more than that. I think it's really because men are longing for and looking for two things: identity and acceptance. And there's a lot of good voices within the manosphere. I can think of a handful that I have benefited from listening to because it's made me more curious, or it's made me understand a perspective of life that I haven't seen before, or maybe it's even growing myself intellectually, learning about something that I've never wanted to learn about before until I heard it on a podcast. So there's some positive voices out there, but the vast majority of what I've seen in the manosphere does end up becoming toxic. And so here's a challenge for you. Regardless of what you're listening to, regardless of who you're listening to, at the end of it, if it's made you more bitter, more resentful, more apt to place blame on your spouse or on others for where you see your situation in life, if it causes you to feel those things, I would avoid it like the plague. But on the other hand, if you listen to something and it causes you to pause and to consider things, if it causes you to be more calm, if it's adding value to your life to build you up physically, intellectually, emotionally, spiritually, then I say lean into that. It's always good to learn. And so really, when it comes to the manosphere, it's not just about what's being said, it's also about who's saying it, how it's saying it, and most importantly, how is it growing you? How is it transforming you? Is it transforming you into the person that you want to be and that you know you need to be? Or is it transforming you into somebody that you don't want to be? That's the challenge for you today.
Thank you, Michael.
Way to bring it back, Michael. Bringing us back down. All right. Well, we're going to go to another Michael, a caller from California. Michael, how can we help you today?
Hi, good morning or afternoon, wherever you're at. What time is it over there?
In Tennessee, it's 12:30. It's good to talk to you. How can we help you today?
12:30, okay. Yes, I'm actually calling in regards to my marriage that's going on right now. My wife, about 20 years ago, I had 2 in-person affairs, and she found out about that about a year and a half ago, roughly closer to 2 years, and beforehand she found out about my pornography use. And our marriage wasn't really that great. It was kind of going downhill because of things that I was not dealing with, past traumas and whatnot. And she went out and had her own mini affair, I would say, for about 2 weeks.
What does that mean, mini affair?
Well, I don't think they actually had sex, but they did other stuff. And so that's what I mean by that. And so
did she live with him for 2 weeks or date him? What are you talking about?
No, just meeting up around town. And I found out that she said she was going to have a quote unquote girls' night, but that really wasn't true for her birthday. She was meeting up with this guy, messing around with him. And so I found out about that. And so every time she would bring up my affairs, I would say, hey, you can't do that because you went out and did it on your own. But beforehand, I said, hey, you can have a free pass if that'll make you feel better. I really didn't mean it. I just think I was just talking out of shame and guilt or whatever. And that's when I found out about it. And so, no accountability on that part from her, which kind of drives me a little nuts. But now, she filed for divorce. I legally cannot see my kids now since November, or really speak to her, and so she filed for divorce. But I'm still wanting to reconcile, and I don't know how to go about showing that there's changes that I have been making. There is progress that I have been dealing with during that year and a half time, and so I'm just wondering how I can show about the push or the pulls, or just.
So let me make sure I understand.
I've been listening to you guys for a while.
You say that you haven't talked to her since November, or did I misunderstand that?
Oh, no, I haven't. I talked to her here and there, only regarding the kids. I can't really talk to her about anything else.
I see.
Since November, so I'm not at home right now. I'm staying with a family member, and I only get to see my kids right now on Fridays.
I see. Is there anybody in her
there
world that
yeah.
would be likely to want you guys to reconcile? Anybody? A pastor, a good friend who's older and wiser, anyone?
Yeah. We're both going to the same church still. She goes to one service, I go to the next. There's people in her corner, that are praying for us, that are wanting us to reconcile. She knows I desperately want to reconcile.
And so does somebody there at that church have enough influence over her to convince her to go through an experience with you to see if reconciliation is possible?
I guess we kind of tried, went to marriage counseling, but honestly, that made it worse.
Mm-hmm. That's why we don't do marriage
I was going to make it worse.
That's why we don't do marriage counseling. Okay, but I mean, is there
Right.
somebody
I've heard you
there
guys say
in
that
that
before,
church that has enough influence with her to say, why don't you and Michael go to this 3-day thing over in Nashville? It's just 3 days. And at the end of the 3 days, you could get an idea as to whether or not you can make this thing work. Is there anybody with that kind of influence over her?
I'm not sure, because I know she's been making some new friends, and I'm at the church, and people I'm familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
But I did bring it up a while ago about this retreat for a 3-day workshop, and not interested. Not sure if I suggested it a little too early.
Why exactly does she want out
just because
again, Michael? Is it because of your affairs and porn, or was it something else that ultimately led to it?
Just, she said 20 years of you just being, immature, not being the person that's right for me. I want a person that's, goal-getter, or what, just other things. We were just fighting so much about the past 7-8 months. We were just fighting so much about the affairs, and it wasn't doing anything. There was no understanding. There was no place to really heal in the house. And so
For her.
I think it was just a toxic, yes.
And you don't
her.
think that she has
every time she
anyone
brought up
else
something.
right now other than that miniature affair that she had?
Can you say that again?
Is she involved with anybody right now?
To your knowledge?
No, no, she's not. She is not. She is heavily involved with the church multiple times a day, and goes to Wednesday nights, hanging out with friends from the church, which I think is great. And we do have,
is there a pastor
mutual
or anybody on
child-
staff that she respects, has a lot of confidence in?
I'm sure there is. I
Could
just
you
don't
talk
know
to
who
that
yet.
person?
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing. Can you say that
Okay,
again?
I apologize. Could you talk to that person, that pastor?
If I know, yes. Oh, yeah. If I know who they are, then I can definitely ask. And that's something that I do want. But right now, I don't think she's really up for it anytime soon. That's just, she's like, my gut, like, you make me scared, and I don't trust you, and I can't be alone with you right now.
Well, I understand
like,
that's how she feels. I really do. Now, which church did you say it is?
Well, I don't think.
Oh, you didn't
The name
say.
of the
What kind of church is it?
it's a Christian church. It's called Awaken.
Okay. And so she's going to church a lot. Does that indicate that she has a desire to be right with God, or is it because that's where she's finding her social acceptance?
Probably both.
Okay.
Probably both.
But you believe that her faith
She
is
says I
sincere.
can be more of myself. Yeah, I do. I really do. I've seen some kind gestures from her part. She found out I got a new job, and so she gave me some food, an extra coffee mug, saying, you know, like, I know you start a new job, here's some snacks. And then the other weekend, or last week, she gave me some shorts just out of the blue, just because she wanted to.
Good.
During this whole, you know, divorce process. So, I mean, she just filed about 2-3 weeks ago. I signed the document saying, yes, I received you're filing for divorce. I did receive those paperwork, so
Right.
officially been.
But I understand
served.
that your question
But since
is
then, she's done some nice gestures.
Your question is, what can I do at this point with little or no contact other than the kids? And I'm saying that one option, and I'm not saying it's the best option, I'm just saying one option is if she's close to one of those pastors, that you can actually talk to that pastor and ask him if he's willing to try to help you guys do something with this. Now, we'd love to help. We'd love to have you guys in one of our workshops.
But I want to refute that a little bit, because it sounds like there's a lot more contact than originally thought. She's giving him things.
But she won't talk to
She's-
him about anything except the kids.
Okay, but she gave him stuff for work. and there's a lever here that can be pulled with the divorcing process.
Okay, what's that?
So, Michael, if during the divorce process, I mean, you have to do what's best for you, and of course, always speak with an attorney. But what some of our clients have found to be one of the best things that ended up working for them was to not sign the divorce papers, and instead use that as an opportunity to bring up the workshop, and going to the workshop as a as like a qualifier, or something that has to happen in order for those divorce papers to eventually be signed. So that is always an option that you have there as well. We always recommend at Marriage Helper that you don't just willingly go along with the divorce, of course, in order to not make the other person mad, but that you try and fight it, because fighting it buys you time. It might make the other person angry, but it can also buy that time in order for them to see changes, in order for you to come to the workshop, because it's headed towards divorce anyway. You might as well try absolutely everything you can in order to save it.
However, Michael, if it were I would try the pastor out first, because that's somebody that she's not going to see as oppressive or manipulative or controlling. And I would do that. But I think what Kimberly said is exactly what would work, which would be, okay, if that fails, then in the divorce process, you can ask, okay, as part of doing this, can we do this 3-day intensive workshop? And I can be more yielding to what you want to occur, but we need to do that first. But my recommendation is try the pastor first. Great.
Yeah, I think that's great. See? Woman, man working better together. This is what it looks. This is what it looks like.
So Michael, are you willing to give it a shot?
Hello?
Hello, are you there?
Oh, okay. Something cut out. I just heard a beep. Hello?
Sorry about that. I said, are you willing to give it a try? Just don't manipulate the pastor. Don't try to twist his arm either. Just go talk to him about the fact that I need some help, and see what he or she be willing
You know
to
what's
do.
funny? I actually just talked to the main pastor yesterday, because we're doing an outreach at a farmer's market, and I kind of gave him the real quick, rundown of what's going on, and he goes, okay, I appreciate you telling me, and hopefully, just
He didn't offer to help?
I don't know. I don't want to say, not yet. So, but the church that I go to, a lot of people are saying, like, a lot of us have dealt with the same situation, and then a lot of our marriages have been restored. And so that's my hope. And yesterday she texted me saying, hey, I was going to take the kids to church tomorrow, but they're going to have this called a 3x3, where people give a testimony for about 10 minutes. And she says, I think you would benefit to going.
Good.
And she just texted me that, like, randomly.
Then definitely do
And I'm
that.
like, I was planning on going, and that's tonight. So
Good.
So
Good.
there's like little things that make
Good.
me feel a little hopeful, but yet
Good.
as I get into my own thoughts, and as you guys say, calm down and
Yeah.
get out of your own head and do something productive, which is very, very hard to do. Easier said than
Sure
done.
it is. Sure it is. But you can do it, Michael. And I would, at some point, if it were I'd go see either that pastor or another pastor in your church that deals more directly with that and say, okay, all right, thank you very much, buddy. Okay, Kimberly, who's next?
All right, let's go to Lisa from Alabama. Lisa, how can we help you today?
Hi, Dr. Joe and Dr. Kimberly.
Hello. How can we help you today, Lisa?
Oh, I'm so honored to speak to you two. I have been standing since September.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a membership. My husband currently lives at home.
Good.
He continually tells me that he does not want to be married to me, although no lawyers have been hired, no divorce has started.
Mm-hmm.
But he tells me weekly, sometimes daily, that he doesn't want to be married to me.
Does he say why?
He only wants to be my friend.
Does he say why he doesn't want to be married?
My nephew died in 2020. He was 26 from leukemia. My husband says that our trouble started then with that death, and that he tried to speak to me about it, and that I didn't listen to him, and the death changed him, and he no longer feels like he wants to be in a marriage with me.
So he felt that you ignored him, you abandoned him emotionally. Is that what he's saying?
I'm not absolutely sure. I try to get him to talk to me about it, but he clams up. I've asked him to come to the workshop. I've asked him to join me with Vinny, or even just take some of my sessions with Vinny and counseling, or coaching, I'm sorry. I also have mentioned the Spark of Life.
Mm-hmm.
I've asked him to do all those things. He has an affair partner. When he is with her and she's mistreating him, he will contact me.
Okay, so he's living with the affair partner right now.
No, he lives with me.
Okay, and how long has that affair been going on, Lisa?
A little over a year.
Okay, and did you say that the death was in 2020?
It was in 2020. He didn't tell me. He would say stuff to me when Colton first died, which is my nephew.
What kind of things would he say?
Happy.
What would he say?
He would say, I'm not happy. I'm changing. I don't feel about things in life like I used to. And I thought he was just saying the same things that we were all feeling as a family. Mm-hmm. None of us were happy. We were all changing. There was no happiness. I mean, we had just lost the most precious thing in the world to us, which was a 26-year-old boy.
Yeah. Was your husband close to him? Was your husband close to him?
Yes.
How close?
We were all there. We were, well, when my nephew got diagnosed, my husband stopped working, and was there to be able to do whatever.
Okay, so he actually stopped his life to help your nephew end his life.
Yes, and we've always done that. We had just helped my nephew remodel his house with his new wife.
Okay.
I mean, we were really a close family.
Yeah.
All right. So you have a person that's reacting to grief, and so it makes a lot of sense that you would mention Spark of Life. They do a really, really good job with that. He's saying he doesn't want to be married to you, but he still lives there. Is he making love to you at all?
Well, did I lose you guys?
You're here.
Is he making love to you at all?
I wouldn't call it that.
Is he having sex with you?
Dr. Joe, I would call it just sex. Yes.
How often?
We do. Sometimes once a week, sometimes once every couple of weeks.
Okay, so you're still letting him sleep with you. Is he sleeping in the same bed with you?
No. I mean, he did. He had asked me to do that last Monday, and I got my hopes up thinking that meant something, that he wanted me to sleep with him.
Mm-hmm.
But then he went on the road because he does. He escorts for mobile homes, and so he was gone for a few days. And when he had come in that weekend, or that Thursday, I had asked him if he would be did I need to make dinner when he was coming in? And he said no, he was going to get dressed. He was going to take a shower, get dressed, and go be with his affair partner at the
So if I may ask,
side-by-side park.
why do you allow him to still live with you and occasionally have sex with you when he's blatantly telling you that he's going to spend time with his affair partner? Why do you tolerate that?
Hoping that somehow he'll see the goodness in me, and somehow that he will see that I still see the goodness in him.
So you still believe he's a good man?
I do.
Well, I hope and pray that he is. And if that good man is still in there, then he's definitely worth rescuing. Okay. When you talk to Vinny next, talk to Vinny about stops, about it, which is another way of talking about boundaries. And get Vinny to help you think through what that means. Okay. And is your husband a religious person?
He was. He before he met the affair partner, he started dabbling in pornography. And so I think that the extreme grief then led into pornography, then led into drug use.
Have you talked to the people at Spark of Life?
No.
I recommend go to their website, sparkoflife.org. You have a way there to contact them. And you obviously have a man here that's in grief, okay? The people that run Spark of Life also work with us. They lead workshops for us. And so they're very, very skilled and knowledgeable in what we do, and we have a very close relationship with them. I think it'd be worth your while just to call and ask them if they have any advice for you, particularly about how to get him to go to their workshop, even if he didn't go with you, to go to that workshop.
Oh, yeah.
And I would recommend you try that. The other thing is talk to Vinny about boundaries, okay? If he's really a good man and if he's really in the grief process, at some point he has to come out of this. But it sounds as if, now understand I'm giving you my opinion, I could be wrong, but it sounds as if he's rebelling. And his rebellion may not be necessarily against you. His rebellion may be against God. And that's why he's doing these things.
It is, for sure. He's mentioned he is so mad at God.
There you go. And so he's rebelling against God. Now, I know that doesn't make it easier for you, but it's really not about you. He's rebelling against God. That's why sometimes he still has sex with you, because of the fact that it's not about you. So talk to Benny about that and the boundaries. Talk to the people at Spark of Life about is there anything that the recommendation they can give you as to what to do. And if he would go to their workshop, even without you, it could be a significant difference here, because until he deals with this grief, I don't know how you're going to deal with the marriage. He's going to have to face the grief and his anger toward God, which is part of his grief. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay, you take care. I'm so sorry for your pain.
Thank you, Lisa. She was kind.
Very sweet lady.
Very sweet.
I was born in Alabama, and she sounded like one of those true Southern Alabama belles. Mm-hmm. Family close, they take care of each other, look out for each other, and she still sees the good in that man. We'll just pray that he comes to his senses.
Yes.
Aren't we going to listen to Nathan or something somewhere?
Today is Nathan Ground's birthday.
Happy birthday, Nathan Grounds.
Nathan Grounds. So happy birthday, Nathan. Let's see what he has to say today.
Hey guys, I want to tell you about a couple that I've been working with here recently. I met them a while back. Actually, when I first met them, they were already divorced. He had had an affair that had lasted over 2 years, and somewhere along that way, he had gotten the divorce that both he and at that time she kind of wanted. I met them on a coaching call before they came to a workshop, and when I asked them what they wanted, they weren't really sure. They knew that they wanted to communicate better. They knew they wanted to understand how they got to this place. They knew they wanted to heal, and they knew that they were going to be co-parents. They had 2 kids together, but neither one of them had much hope for their marriage, although they were kind to one another. They ended up going to one of our workshops, and after that, they started coaching with me through this process we call the E system to explore reconciliation. And now that I've had several sessions with them, it's been kind of cool to watch their desires for their future change. Neither one of them had hope that things could be different if they reconciled. They haven't reconciled yet. I don't know if they will. We're in the process of it. But it's kind of fun to watch them dream about their lives, not separately, but together. And another cool thing that's happening as well is they're starting to sit closer to one another on the coaching calls. They're starting to look to one another in their eyes more. They're starting to talk more openly about how they feel. And I can tell as I coach them that a vision for a future together is beginning to emerge in front of their eyes. It's just another example of a couple that everybody else had ruled out. Even they themselves ruled out. And yet, what do we say at Marriage Helper? There's always hope. We hope that you and your spouse, or you by yourself, can make it to one of our workshops, because we believe there's always hope.
I'm willing to bet money there's nothing in that cup.
How much?
$1.
$1. I think his mug today had pumpkins on it. Super fun. All right, well, let's go to Austin, but not from Texas, from Tennessee.
Austin from Tennessee.
Austin from Tennessee. How can we help you today?
Hey guys, thanks for taking my call. So wait, first, can y'all hear me okay?
We can. Joe can't. Can you speak?
Okay,
Can you put your mouth a little closer to the speaker or microphone?
Yes, is that better?
A little. Go ahead.
Okay. So I guess it's kind of like a question or advice more. So we are at the point in our separation, and I won't give you the whole backstory just because I don't want to take up a lot of time. But
let
we
me
are
ask
at
one
the
question.
point-
Let me ask one question. Why are you separated?
Okay.
Why? Why are you
I have
separated?
made it is because of my actions.
What did you do?
We've been, well, it's kind of been a collection of things. We've been together for 12 years, married for 5, and we have 2 daughters, 5 and 3. And since really our relationship started, I have done a lot of bad things towards her as a partner. Never like a physical abuse or anything like that, but I have been unloyal to her early in our relationship.
Does that mean an affair?
I have had, well, before marriage, yes.
Okay, but you were
back
together.
when we were still dating.
You're together, and
Yeah.
you slept with somebody else. Okay. Any other things?
Right. And it's just over the 12 years, it's just been a lot. I mean, in the past, I've been a very narcissistic person, a very manipulative person, a very consistent liar, and
Okay.
I wasn't the person and partner that
So what was the final
a
straw?
woman deserves.
What was the final
The-
straw?
so
Why
the
did she
fi-
leave
the-
you?
So the final straw was I had an addiction problem for about the last 2 years, and she stuck by me through that. I went to rehab for the first time last year, and she still stuck around for that. And I got out, and I did pretty good for a little bit, and then I relapsed back on it. But when I relapsed, I had gotten to a point so far in my addiction that I had stolen from a family member to provide for my addiction.
I see.
Um,
And that was the
and
final
so
straw. That's
whenever
when she
that-
said, "I'm out."
yes, sir.
Okay.
It
All
had
right.
just been the last 12 years, everything just compounding together, and that was just kind of the final straw to break the camel's
Gotcha.
back.
Well, I see on the text up here when you told our screener that she's now set some hard boundaries. Very quickly, what does that mean?
Right. So, and I completely agree that I deserve everything that I'm going through, that we're dealing with right now. I'm not trying to fight that whatsoever. But I guess my problem right now is so I pick the kids up from daycare and from school. I get off work before she does. I'm no longer in the house. I haven't been since November. But she still allows me to get the kids, bring them home, keep them there until she gets home from work. Well, while I'm there, it's kind of getting to the point where me just trying to help, like even with household chores, small things just to try to help her because she does have a lot on her plate. She's got both girls by herself.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to be the person that I wasn't before. I was never really one to help her
And that
around
makes
the
her
house like
mad?
I should have been.
And that makes her angry?
Yes, sir.
Why?
Yes.
Why?
She hasn't exactly given me a reason why, but what I'm kind of thinking to myself, and I'm drawing assumptions here, is I think she might be looking at it as I'm trying to say or show that she cannot do this, be independent, I guess, be
Yeah.
without me. And
Okay,
do
Austin,
things
one
on
other
her own.
question.
I don't know that for sure.
One other question before
Okay.
Kimberly jumps in here. Are you clean now? Are you sober?
Yes, sir.
Completely?
Yes.
Do you
Yes,
go- do
I
you-
got out of rehab the end of January, and I've been clean since, and I'm just trying to work as hard as I can to try to piece things back together.
Are you attending some 12-step group or something like that?
Yes, I have a sponsor.
Good.
I go to 3 meetings a week.
Okay.
I'm in different church services as much as I can.
Okay.
I'm just
Okay. So how may we help you?
I guess really because I still want to fight for our marriage. I do not want to give up, which I know that I'm the reason that we are here. And she has told me things too about how our marriage is over. I want nothing to do with you. If it wasn't for the kids, I wouldn't have any contact with you, stuff like that. But I've told her I'm not going to give up.
Okay,
no
I've got
matter
one more
how
question then. I've got
difficult
one
it
more
is.
question then. Which family member did you steal from?
It was my dad.
Okay.
Okay, your dad. And how much was it?
Yes. It was just a little over $200.
Okay, so something that you could pay back.
Something that has been paid back. Yes, sir.
Okay, excellent. Okay. And so your question is, how can you get her to see that you've changed? Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, not necessarily, because I know that that's really going to come with time. But I guess really it's just, I don't know. I don't know if it's maybe I'm asking for advice, like on ways that I can still help her or show her that I want to be the person I never was.
What if you ask? What if you say, I'm going to be here with the kids. I'd love to help out if I can. I don't want to make you angry. So can you tell me what kind of things I can do that won't make you angry? Because I'd love to do that.
I have done that.
And she said,
and she just stays with, I'm setting boundaries. I don't want you crossing them. And I mean, it's little things. Like the last time she brought something up was one day last week. I got the mail from the mailbox and took the trash can to the road, and that was it. That's all I did.
And she was
she
angry.
did not like that whatsoever. Yes.
Suggestions, Kimberly?
Have you asked her for her forgiveness?
I have, and I don't take this as me trying to, bash her or whatever, but she is not one of those people that can but she's not one to like forget or forgive and forget or forgive and move on. Sorry, I'm getting tongue tied. But I can't really blame her either at the same time, because like I said, I've been putting her through so much over the course of 12 years. And I can't say I understand what she's feeling, because I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I know I understand, the problems, but I can't just say that I 100% understand the feelings that she is feeling.
Sure.
After,
You seem
12
very
years.
self-aware, Austin, and I am sure that rehab was incredibly helpful, and being involved in the groups is keeping you that way, and that's a good thing. You're very, my concern a bit is that I don't want you to think that you're not good enough to try and save this marriage, or you're not worthy. I mean, you keep saying, I know I did hurtful things, and you did. You did. But you know that, and you can't beat yourself up for that. At the same time, how can you continue to show her the love and grace even in knowing that you've hurt her? And this isn't an experience that I've ever you've dealt with this
Which
situation
basically
more than me.
means, Austin, quit telling her how
Yeah.
bad you are.
Yes.
Because by doing that, it's my fault, I did this, I did that. By doing that, you're actually programming her to see you as a bad guy. And so, you've told her you're sorry, you've asked her for forgiveness, that kind of stuff. She, as you indicated, didn't give it, but you did. If it ever comes up again, don't say, I'm sorry. Don't make it sound like you're no good. You can say things like this, I'm glad I know better now. If it comes up again in a similar way, you can say, yeah, it was a hard time. Thank God we're past that. If it comes up, in other words, you find ways to indicate that you're not bypassing or avoiding responsibility, but stop telling her it's your fault. Because you're going to continue to program her and program her and program her to think of you as being the bad guy. And so you just simply say, I'm glad I learned better. I'm glad that I'm getting closer to God now. Those kinds of things. And so start reprogramming you and her to see you in a different light, that you're not the same guy you were. And as you know, you can't go back to that addiction. Because it will just reinforce with her that she can't trust you, that she doesn't want to be with you. And so I hope you've got a good sponsor, and I hope your sponsor is awesome and can help you with that. Well, Kimberly, we've run out of time here. Take care, Austin. Hope things work out for you. We didn't get to talk to as many people as possible.
Because I talked a lot. At the beginning. You all heard from me today.
But the things that you were saying were definitely on target. They're true, and it's something that people need to understand for their own marriages, obviously, but for their sons and their daughters and their nephews and nieces. This is a major thing.
It is a major thing.
So you should have spent the time talking about that, and I'm happy for your passion.
Well, thank you. Men are good and women are good. How can we work better together? That is the key. Well, hey, we would love to help you if we can. You can find out more about what we do at marriagehelper.com. Until next week, remember, there is always hope.